Have you ever found yourself sitting in a room full of light, but feeling completely lost in the dark? Not because the world has gone quiet, but because something inside you has. You look around at the life you've built, the things you once chased, the people you used to call home, and suddenly, none of it feels like it fits anymore. As if your skin is too tight for the soul that's trying to grow inside it. There's a kind of ache that doesn't start in the body. It starts in the silence between your thoughts. It hums quietly, like a forgotten melody, reminding you that something ancient inside you wants to be remembered. And maybe you felt it too. That strange pull to be alone, not to isolate, but to listen, to tune in, to make space for something you can't quite name, but deeply feel. You used to crave noise, attention, movement, but now, silence calls to you like a long-lost friend. And in that silence, your heart starts to speak in a language you never learned, but always knew. Maybe you're not broken. Maybe you're not lost. Maybe your soul is simply awakening, gently, quietly, softly, like dawn creeping in through the cracks of your old life. What if everything you've been feeling, the disconnect, the numbness, the strange longing, isn't a sign of something wrong, but something sacred trying to unfold? You see, awakening rarely begins with a bang. It often starts with a whisper, a subtle shift, a gentle question. The kind that doesn't scream for attention, but won't let you ignore it either. So the real question is, are you listening? Or have you been too busy, too distracted, too afraid to hear the voice that's been quietly calling you back home? Sign 1. A sudden discomfort with noise and chaos. There was a time when you thrived in the noise. The buzz of conversation, the constant movement, the endless stream of tasks that made you feel alive, or at least distracted enough to feel like you were. But something has shifted. Lately, even simple conversations feel heavy. You catch yourself pulling away from the chatter, the screams, the stimulation. And you can't explain why, but they don't feed you anymore. They drain. You find yourself searching for quiet corners. You crave stillness, not out of loneliness, but because silence has started to feel sacred. As if something hidden lives within it, waiting to be heard. Noise once made you feel connected. Now, it makes you feel scattered, disconnected from your center. And in contrast, stillness brings you back home, to a space inside you that's deeper than words. The world keeps spinning faster, louder, more demanding. But inside, your soul has slowed its pace. It's begun whispering, soft, almost imperceptible, messages that ask for nothing more than your attention. And maybe, just maybe, you're not going crazy for needing quiet. Maybe you're healing. Maybe the discomfort you feel in chaos isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign that something wiser in you is finally waking up. There's a reason why monks retreat to the mountains, why the Buddha sat beneath the tree, in silence, because when the noise fades, the truth begins to rise. So I invite you, just for a moment, to pause, to breathe, to sit with yourself in the kind of silence that doesn't demand answers, but simply allows you to hear what's been there all along. When was the last time you truly listened to your own silence? Not to fill the void, but to befriend it. Sign 2. Old habits no longer feel right. There was a time when the little rituals of your life felt safe. A favored meal, a mindless show playing in the background, the same routine you could follow with your eyes closed. They comforted you. They were familiar. But lately, something's changed. That food you used to crave tastes strangely dull. That show you once loved leaves you restless. The routine that once gave you structure now feels like a cage you didn't know you were in. You sit in the same spot, do the same things. But instead of feeling nourished, you feel numb. As if your soul is gently tugging on your sleeve, whispering, "This isn't for you anymore." It's not guilt. It's not shame. You're not broken. You're simply changing. The old version of you, the one who needed those things to feel okay, is slowly dissolving. The discomfort isn't here to punish you. It's here to guide you, to point towards something truer, something simpler, something more in tune with who you're becoming. You may not have the answers yet. You may not know what comes next, but trust this. When your soul outgrows a pattern, it will make sure you feel it. Not to scare you, but to awaken you. It's a quiet kind of evolution. One that doesn't always make sense on the outside, but on the inside. You know. You just know. Ask yourself this, gently. Is your discomfort trying to tell you something? Could it be that you're not falling apart, but falling into alignment? And if so, are you willing to listen? Even if it means letting go of the things that once made you feel safe, but no longer help you grow? Sign 3. You're drawn to simpler things. There was a time when you needed noise to feel alive. The thrill of chasing goals, the validation of being busy, the high of constantly achieving, performing, proving. But something has softened inside you. You find yourself slowing down. Not because you failed, but because your soul is finally exhaling. These days, joy comes quietly, in a warm cup of tea held with both hands, in the sound of wind passing through leaves, in watching sunlight move slowly across a wooden floor. And no, this isn't you giving up. This isn't regression. This is something far more sacred. This is you returning, not to the past, but to the present. You're not retreating from life. You're recentering in it, coming back to what is real, to what has always been enough, but was once overlooked. You open a book not to escape the world, but to enter deeper into it. A book on mindfulness, on presence, on stillness. And something stirs inside you that feels like remembering. You walk in the park not to get anywhere, but just to feel the earth beneath your feet, to breathe with the trees, to be part of something ancient and alive. You begin to notice the way steam curls upward from your tea, how it dances, how it disappears, and you realize even that is a teacher. This is what awakening can look like. Not lightning, not loudness, but stillness, and the soft return to things that never asked to be impressive. Just honest. So let me ask you gently, what simple joy have you been overlooking lately? What moment, what breath, what humble little ritual has been waiting for you to slow down long enough to notice it? Sign 4. Emotions are rising, and you don't know why. Some mornings you wake with a heaviness you can't name. The tears rise before you've even had a chance to think. They come uninvited, flowing not from your thoughts, but from someplace deeper, a place your mind can't reach, but your soul remembers. And other days, it's the opposite. A stillness wraps around your chest, a peace so profound you don't know whether to weep or simply breathe it in. You might think you're being irrational, that you're too sensitive, that something must be wrong with you. But let me tell you gently, this is not instability. This is your system releasing. It's like after the storm, when the dust finally begins to settle. You see what was always underneath, the broken branches, the hidden roots, the pieces of yourself waiting to be seen. These emotions, they're not random. They are sacred visitors. They're memories your body never forgot, wounds you never had time to grieve, truths that are finally brave enough to surface. You may cry without knowing why. You may laugh in the middle of a memory that once hurt. That's not chaos, that's alchemy. That's your soul rearranging what it no longer needs to carry. Let the waves rise. Let them crash. Let them soften. Because when you stop holding back your emotions, your spirit has room to breathe. And in that breath, healing begins. You don't have to understand every feeling. You don't have to explain your tears. You only have to let them move. Emotions are messengers. They don't need your judgment, just your presence, Dot. So let me ask you gently, are you letting your emotions flow through you? Or are you bottling them in, hoping they'll disappear if you just keep smiling? Sign 5. You're losing interest in fitting in. There was a time when being accepted felt like everything, like survival. You'd shape, smile when it hurt, laugh when you didn't feel like it, and agree just to avoid being the outsider. In the room, you memorized the rules of approval. How to talk, what to wear, what to post. Hoping that maybe, if you performed well enough, you'd finally belong. But something in you has begun to unravel that script. The desire to impress? It's fading. The need to be liked by everyone? It doesn't land the way it used to. You find yourself longing not to be accepted, but to be real. Even if real means misunderstood. Even if it means walking alone for a while. And it's not coldness. It's not ego. It's not detachment. It's liberation. Because your soul is tired of costumes. It's tired of applause that costs your truth. You begin to realize that there is a kind of peace that comes not from being seen, but from being sincere. A kind of freedom in not performing anymore. You'd rather be disliked for who you are than loved for who you're not. And that, dear soul, is a sacred kind of strength. The kind that doesn't roar. It simply stands, Dot. It may feel like you're pulling away from the world, but really, you're pulling back to your center, to the original you, before the world told you who to be, Dot. So pause with me, just for a breath. Ask yourself gently, who are you when no one is watching? And are you brave enough to be that version of you, even when they are? Sign 6. A deep pull towards spiritual questions. There comes a moment, quiet but unmistakable, when the questions start to rise from a place deeper than thought. You find yourself staring at the ceiling late at night, not because you're worried about tomorrow, but because something inside you is whispering, why am I here? You look out the window, and instead of seeing just trees or sky, you feel something ancient looking back at you. Like life itself is asking you to listen. The question doesn't shout. It lingers. It doesn't ask for an answer, only your attention. What's the purpose of all this? And the strange thing is, it doesn't scare you. Not like it used to. These questions don't feel like darkness anymore. They feel like a doorway, sacred and wide open. You begin to crave meaning, not distraction. Depth, not noise. Something that resonates far beneath the surface of your daily life. This isn't you losing your mind. This is you finding your center. The soul doesn't awaken with answers. It awakens with the courage to hold the question without needing to control it. You realize, maybe the purpose isn't something you find. Maybe it's something you become. Maybe your life is the answer. Unfolding one breath at a time. So if you've been feeling that pull, that hunger for something more, something real, you're not alone. You're not lost. You're not broken. You're being invited deeper. Let these questions guide you, not frighten you. They're not here to confuse you. They are here to call you home. Sign 7. You feel both lost and found at the same time. There are days when it feels like everything you once held onto is slipping through your fingers. Plans unravel. Roles dissolve. Even your reflection in the mirror looks unfamiliar. Might walk through your day with a quiet ache in your chest. A kind of grief that doesn't have a name, but still lives in your breath. And yet, beneath that ache, beneath the confusion, there's something else. A stillness, a knowing, a soft inner voice that says, don't run from this. Something sacred is taking shape. you begin to realize the paradox that in the same moment you feel most lost, something in you also feels found. The outer world may be crumbling, but deep within, your soul is finding its ground. Not in certainty, but in truth. Not in answers, but in presence. This is the unraveling the ego fears. Because the ego loves labels, control, and identity. But the soul is here for something much more honest. The soul is not concerned with fitting in, proving itself, or being right. It only asks to be real, even if real means raw, in transition, undone. So, if you feel like you're falling apart, breathe. Maybe you're not falling apart. Maybe you're falling into place, piece by honest piece. Awakening is not a straight path. It's messy, sacred, and full of contradictions. You can feel both pain and peace. You can feel both grief and grace. You can be both lost and already home. So let me ask you, not with pressure, but with love, what in your life is falling away to make space for something more real? And are you willing to let it go? If even one of these signs stirred something in you, even a flicker, then know this: you're not alone and you're not lost. You're remembering something ancient, something true, something the noise of the world tried to make you forget, but your soul never did. Awakening isn't always graceful. It doesn't always look like peace. Sometimes it looks like confusion, like silence, like letting go of things you thought would last forever. But even in those moments, the ones that feel uncertain, raw, tender, trust this: your soul is not lost. Your soul is leading you home. So take a breath with me. Let it be slow. Let it be honest. Let it carry everything you've just felt, and allow it to settle, not in your mind, but in your chest. If something in this message resonated, even quietly, I invite you to sit with it a little longer. And if you feel called, share in the comments. What's shifting in your world right now? This space, this channel, it's not just videos and words. It's a sanctuary for souls like yours. Gentle seekers, brave enough to feel, still enough to hear. So if your heart whispered yes, if your soul felt seen, you are so welcome here. Subscribe, not because of an algorithm, but because you're on a path. And this space is a soft candlelight along the way.